All right, Dennis Johnson, come forward. Oh, thank you for dressing appropriately for
Yes,
court.
ma'am.
All right, what happened to the neck?
I don't know. I don't even know. It's like a little pimple was there. I gotta go to like get it cut or something. Like an ingrown hair. I think.
Did you go to the doctor?
I haven't went yet.
All right, people, here's the thing. This is what I know. I know I'm not a medical doctor, but what I know is things have changed now. You can't just be doing things on your own at the house.
Home remedies.
Yeah, you can't do some of the home remedies. You can't do it now because people putting hormones in everything we eat. That's just a side note.
Yeah.
You
And that's
better,
what I tried. A home remedy. I tried to cut it. It was like a little pimple, so I tried to cut it myself, and
what did you cut it with?
like a little razor.
Oh my gosh, I hope you cleaned that razor.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
put some peroxide and stuff on it.
okay, I'm not a doctor, but you should probably
All right.
go
Go see a
to
doctor.
see a doctor about that because germs get in it. You know, I will tell you one thing. I'm not a doctor, but Cornelius, you know what I do know? You can't survive without your neck. They're not doing neck implants.
Yeah, no.
Once the neck goes,
Everything.
it's gone.
I'm glad you told me. I'm gonna go ASAP.
Yeah, you need to go. You should. All right, so what are we doing on this case, Mr. Cox?
We got an offer today, Judge.
Okay,
And we just need a setting. I need to confer with my client on it.
all right.
Do some things and
How much time do you want?
30 days, Judge, if I can get it.
All right, this is
But that's not,
a new case. 45 is pushing it.
okay.
All right,
30.
Ms. Ferguson, on Dennis Johnson, if I could have a plea deadline date for 30 days, please. Oh yeah, you need to go quick, fast, and hurry to that. All right, you seem a little unsteady. What's going on?
Nothing, mate. I'm good. I'm good now.
Okay.
Under the circumstances, Judge, you got a big bandage on your neck.
Oh yeah, you need to go get that checked out.
I can do July 30th.
All right, we'll come back on July 30th.
Boy.
All right,
That's
once you
sufficient
sign the
verification.
reset form, you're excused to go to the WellMed Center or wherever people go.
Okay. All right.
Guys, tell them that's dangerous.
Thank you, man. I
All right.
appreciate it.
You know, that's like in the Western movies you see where somebody gets a gunshot wound and they just pour booze on the knife or either burn it in the campfire and the person passes out. I mean, is that what we're doing now? He needs to, got to take care of that.
I have a Dunbar.
All right, Mr. Dunbar, if you'll show your video, please. All right, Mr. Dunbar, thank you for dressing appropriately.
Is that a Rembrandt in this?
No, that's the Lord's Supper behind him. And he has an attorney sitting on his desk. That's awesome. All right, Mr. Dunbar, if you'll unmute, please.
No.
All right, I think that's by Michael,
Angelo.
Michael D'Angelo, Michael,
Who did the?
yes.
Leonardo.
No, you're right, it's Leonardo da Vinci who did the
Sistine
Chapel, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, if you see
That may
the-
be an original.
All right, then, if that's an original, then
Can't
your
get a
client may
photo.
have picked up another case. Because that's not supposed to be behind him.
It looks as big as the original.
Mr. Dunbar, we know that's not the original Lord's Supper. You're good.
Maybe those two originals.
Yeah. But no, you know, when I went to the Sistine Chapel,
I
that took a lot of work.
I said that because I know you went there.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
You know,
I mean, he was doing everything.
he had to do it on his back.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
You know, there was a group of 4 of them, extremely poor, but everybody was hiring them out to do different things like sculpt, paint, do buildings, do everything. All right, so what's happening on this case? Did you receive an offer?
oh, yes, ma'am. I got an offer today. So we can have a setting. I'll discuss the offer with my client and, quite sure we'll be able to resolve it.
All right, so we'll come back on July 30th. And Mr. Dunbar, are you in Bear County?
No, ma'am. I'm in Harris County, Houston, Texas.
All right, so what we'll do, if there's going to be an agreement or not an agreement, he can still appear by Zoom,
Yes, ma'am.
because I know Houston, that drive, nobody's doing anything with the traffic.
Okay.
All right, so we will see you back on July 30th, and it'll be by Zoom, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, don't do any self-surgery. All right, have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
Judge.
You too.
All right, Francisco Sotelo Baez.
Yeah, he's in the box.
All right, come down. All right, so where are we?
Your Honor, obviously, family violence is in trial and impact this morning. I was not able to confer. However, we did have an offer. I'm trying to negotiate with them to confer more on the case. There's some Padilla issues as well in this matter, Judge.
There's
so
some
I'm-
what?
Padilla issues.
All
So
right,
I'm
so,
waiting on consultation there as well, but if we could get another month, this is likely going to be resolved.
so where are we on the Padilla issues? Because I saw that
Judge, I have an informal telephone conference with Mr. Tullis and the MAC. I just need a formal writing, but I also need a chance to compare my notes from Mr. Tullis with the prosecutors to see if we can fine tune an appropriate plea bargain.
all right, Norma,
Yes, ma'am.
on this one, can you put it for July 30th for plea deadline date?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you too.
We'll be in-
Jeez, it's too late. Catherine Aguilar. All right, is she in prison or not in prison?
All I'm gonna say is Chihuahua, Judge, because I don't know. Last week, we contacted TDC because the sheriff's office and said that she had been transferred. And if you recall, Judge, we had a couple of your interns help with that. They didn't have her there at the time.
All right, everyone, please whisper.
I called later in the week. I called back to the sheriff's office to see if they can give me any further details. And I was told that she was transferred to ISF, East ISF.
All
I
right,
called East ISF and they didn't have a record of her. So I've contacted parole.
all right. Who sent her allegedly to ISF?
Well, I think it was part of her parole violation, Judge. Whatever she was supposed to do for parole,
Okay,
but parole doesn't even have a record of it, Judge. So that, so I don't know where else to call, Judge.
oh, well, we're gonna find out where she is today. Ms. Abrams,
Yes, Judge.
is there any way, maybe they didn't want to tell you because sometimes they don't tell people if somebody's there at ISF. Is there any way you can check to see if someone is in ISF?
Yes, Judge, I just needed a our call number.
Cost number is 2024 CR 1212.
And that's East ISF is what I was told.
All right, he's saying East ISF.
Just give me a couple more moments.
All right, thank you. So we'll find out where she is.
Okay, thanks.
Esther San Miguel,
Just let me go.
morning.
Again,
So you survived the heat. Like,
I did.
All the way to the front or the arrows out?
because where I am, I can't really do night events.
Oh, still.
Yes, still. So, yeah. All right. Good morning. Thank you so much for dressing appropriately for court. All right. So where are we on this case with discovery?
The state just conveyed an offer to me. I believe I have all discovery. I'm asking the court for another reset so she might confer with an immigration lawyer.
Okay. All right. Is she going to hire an immigration attorney or does she need one?
She's been looking to hire one.
Okay. Are you appointed?
Correct.
All right. So Ms. Ferguson,
Yes.
Even though she's looking for an immigration attorney, I don't want us to hold up because we're waiting for immigration. If you could see if Mac can provide her with immigration, and is language an issue?
She's a Spanish speaker. She understands some English.
All right, so, and next time we're gonna need an interpreter. And of course, you speak Spanish, correct?
Correct.
Right. Could you ask her if there's anything else she needs from the court?
¿Alguna otra cosa que usted necesita de la corte ahorita? No, everything's okay.
Okay, all right, Ms. Ferguson, if you reset this for the first week in August to see where we are with immigration.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll be back August 6th, and Ms. Ferguson, if you can put on the docket sheet that she'll need to have an interpreter present.
Yes.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, you're welcome.
Tú toma asiento y te doy el papel, por favor.
All right, David Castro?
Andrew Del Cueto. I'll spell it later.
All right, so this motion says that he's in the custody of the sheriff's office.
Well, he was, Judge.
All right, so,
He's released.
so what are we here for? Because it's not in the motion.
Judge, it's just changing partial GPS to tracking.
All right, court is calling CM 120070. Excuse me, if y'all will move towards the end. State of Texas versus David Jared Castro. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Ally Jackson.
for the defense?
Andrew Del Cueto for Mr. Castro.
And are you Mr. Castro?
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna need to keep your voice up so I can hear. So, defense, you have a motion, and what is your motion?
Just to change partial GPS to tracking, Your Honor.
All right, and state, any objection?
No, Your Honor, we discussed it. This is mostly due. He was given partial originally for work, but he has to go to Dallas for work, and this is in very early stages. We do not, I only received the report this morning actually from defense counsel. That's how little the state has, so we're unopposed at this time, Your Honor.
All right, so you say unopposed at this time, but I need,
No, we're unopposed, Judge.
okay. All right, and is there a no contact with the complainant?
Yes, Judge. And we'll still have that enforced, yes.
All right, and do you all have any type of geolocation that he's not to be in?
Yeah, we can have it near her residence, Your Honor.
All right, if you all want to put that in the motion, if you all have, either side has no objections, then you write that in the motion. So it's an agreed order for tracking only, and there's going to be a geolocation, and you're not allowed to be in that location. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you go in that, inside that location, what is gonna happen is I'm gonna receive a report from pretrial services, and a warrant could be issued for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, you all need to make sure that he knows which area he's not to be in.
Yes, Your Honor, of course.
And it's also gonna include a no contact, of course, with the complainant. So if you're at a location and the complainant appears, you'll need to leave. Do you understand? All right, is there anything else?
No, Your Honor. Enjoy time with your mama, Judge.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much.
That was fine.
All right, thank you.
The judge.
It's Ally. But when ALLI.
All right.
Judge, may I borrow that so I can get a copy?
Oh, sure. Just give me a moment.
Yes, Judge.
All right, Joshua Patia. All right, hello.
Hi, Judge. Good
Hi.
morning.
What's happening with this case?
So, Judge, we're here for status. I've been conferring with the state. This was a case where I had multiple, just multiple amounts of information to go through. are we on YouTube?
yes.
For reasons that I would prefer not to have out publicly, if I could just tell you.
Cases be consolidated.
All at the same time? At this point, no, Judge. I don't believe you would be opposed to it. I mean, it just might be a rather lengthy trial.
I think they're all probably likely to come in as extraneous regardless. So I think that it's definitely to his benefit to consolidate them.
All right, then what we'll do is we're going to come back on July 25th. That's going to be the plea deadline date. The court is not going to extend any plea deadline dates any further than that. I realized that there were issues with this case in the beginning with him receiving mental health care. But this case has been on the docket for many years. So we're going to come back on the 25th, and on the 25th, state if there's no objections to consolidation, it will be consolidated, and then there will be a quick turnaround for a jury trial.
That's good.
Thank
All right,
you,
is there
Judge.
anything else?
No, Your Honor, no.
All right, so before parties leave, are you ready to sign the acknowledgement of discovery?
Yes, I am. I believe I've gotten everything that they
All right.
have. I can't imagine that I haven't.
All righty. So I tell you what, you all on the July 25th have the acknowledgements of discovery ready to be signed.
All right, Judge. Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Do you have any questions?
Oh, man.
All right, thank you.
Why'd you shoot at officers?
I didn't.
They got the wrong guy? Do you have something against officers?
No, I want to be one.
So they got the wrong guy? You're innocent? You have anything you want to say for yourself? Anything for the family? If you're innocent, why are you in there?
All right, court is calling 2023 CR 10004 State versus Tyler Ashbaugh. Can our parties announce for the record for the state? Defense?
Nathaniel Navy for Mr. Ashbaugh.
And are you Mr. Ashbaugh?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, defense has filed a motion to amend conditions of bond. State, have you had a chance to review that?
I spoke with defense counsel about it.
All right, state, do you have any objections? All right, defense, you may proceed.
Yes, Judge. So essentially, we would just be asking for two things. Number one is to amend Mr. Ashbaugh's current conditions from GPS full house arrest to GPS partial to allow him to work. And just a little bit of background behind that, Judge. We understand that the allegation is serious. However, Mr. Ashbaugh has been on GPS full house arrest for 2 years at this point. The case was pending an intake for quite a while. He has had no recorded violations of his GPS monitoring device. With Mr. Ashbaugh being on full GPS house arrest, he's had to live with his father to help support him. His father is older, in his 70s. He lives there with his wife and their daughter as well. This has placed not only a immense financial burden on Tyler and his wife, as they've had to move in with his father because Tyler can't work, but also on Tyler's father, who is now in his 70s, having to work extra and stress more about their finances. Tyler would like to have the ability to set up an interview and hopefully get hired somewhere and work to help contribute for his family, his children, his legal expenses, just to ease the burden not only on himself, but on his family as well, Judge. And as I've come in front of you before on another time on this case, I said, any little allowance you've given Tyler to do something, he's never abused the court's trust in this case since it's been pending on bond. And I think that will continue. He obviously takes this case very seriously. He takes his pretrial conditions of bond very seriously, as our evidence that he has had no violation since he's been on this monitor. The second thing that we would be asking for is the ability to go to, I forget the name of the hospital. What was that? Stone Oak Methodist Hospital, when his wife is due. She's due at the end of this month, but from talking to them, it may be sooner. Obviously, and I maybe seek the court's guidance as well with how to word this on GPS if you were to consider it and grant it, Judge. But for a one-time, and I don't know if it's to say tracking or one-time ability to go to the hospital, because it's going to be hard to schedule this. I think, just knowing from my experience, if I tried to schedule it, I think he would miss it. Or if he tried to schedule it, I think he would probably miss the birth. So just a one-time ability to go to this hospital, stay there until she's discharged, and then come home whenever that is. Obviously, pretrial services would have the address of the hospital ahead of time. He could even give them notice as he's about to go. But I think if he had to try to get permission and schedule it, he may miss it. But maybe if there was some way to say, it's either a one-time tracking ability where he's approved to go to this hospital at an unscheduled time for the birth and come home, go nowhere else but the hospital. That's what I would be seeking as well, Judge. And I know you've asked this before, so I've talked to him and his wife. They have had one other kid together. She said he was helpful. He didn't pass out. He wasn't just somebody who was actually a burden on her, but he did help. So she would like him there, Judge, if it's possible.
All right, so let's start with first. State, do you have any objections to him being allowed to attend the birth of his child at Stone Oak Methodist Hospital and to remain until discharge of wife and child?
No, Judge, just as long as it's pretrial and abides by the GPS.
All right, so that will be granted. Now, the next thing, with a request for him to be able to work while on GPS.
Judge, at this time, due to the allegations against the defendant, we're opposed to any other type of GPS other than full house arrest.
Okay. All right. This is what the court is. The court will allow him to have employment. I don't know the nature of the alleged facts of the offense other than what I see that he's been charged with. So you will be allowed to, once you're employed, to work. But I know now that a lot of employment, the way you get interviews is online. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes, Your Honor.
All
yes. Right. I think the one that he's attempting to interview with, they do want you to come in person, right? It's with Kia, World Car, Mazda for a phone representative. They basically said, come in.
Right, so here's the thing. If he is going to be working at a car dealership, I'm not going to allow him to be working at a dealership where he's driving around. So what would he be doing if he were to be hired? Yes.
Phone representative, ma'am.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Tyler Ashbaugh.
All right, if you're hired, what is your position? What are your duties?
I'm not too sure necessarily, but it's a phone representative. I'm guessing I'll be taking phone calls about probably price inquiries and such things.
All right, and so will you be working from home or working at the dealership?
At the dealership, hopefully.
All right, so then what I'll do is I'll allow him to go to the interview. And when is this interview?
He told me just to come in from any time from 9 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and ask for Ed.
And you said Monday through Saturday?
Monday through Saturday.
All right, so I'm going to allow him to go to the interview. And you will need to schedule a time with them. And that time needs to be, State, I know you're not in agreement, but what hours? Because I'm not going to allow him to set his hour at 7 p.m. So it's going to have to be in the morning time. And what hours?
9 to 11.
All right, so he can set his appointment anywhere from 9 to 11. And I'll allow you 30 minutes beforehand to arrive and then 30 minutes to return. Is that enough time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Judge.
All right, and you will need to let GPS know. Are you going to be there at 9, 10, or 11? Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and then once he is employed, my mom always says, once you have the interview, usually they're going to hire you. So we'll come back if he is employed. And then counsel, if you just come in, if he ends up receiving the job and his duties are as he's telling me, I'll allow it.
Okay.
So, and I'm sorry, 9 to 11 a.m., you're going to have to get that appointment either Monday through Thursday, not Friday and Saturday. If there's some issue where they can only do it on a Saturday or only do it on a Friday, you need to come back and let the court know that's the plan.
Yes, Judge.
All right, is there anything else?
Just one other thing, Judge, because I know it's a possibility that he does the interview, they do the background check, they see that he's charged with this, and then they say no. If there are other opportunities for job interviews, but this is the one that's immediate, if he has any other possible interviews, do we need to come in again, or is he okay to schedule interviews but just tell his pretrial services officer? How would the court like us to do that?
Well, to make it easier on everybody, so people won't have to come down, counsel, if you want to include an email, include Mr. Gerhan in that email, your client in that email, and include me, of course.
Of course, Judge.
And you will put down where he is seeking to have an interview. And in each of those emails, I'm going to need to know what his proposed duties are if he's hired, because there are just some things that I'm not going to allow him to do.
Of course, Judge. Understood.
All right. Is there anything else?
Not at this time, Judge.
All right. And does everyone approve of the court's plan as far as if there are different interviews that can be asked through email?
Yes, absolutely, Judge.
Not opposed, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. May we be excused?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, court is calling 2023 CR 8835, State of Texas versus Esther Diaz. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state? Defense?
Joseph Appelt.
And are you Esther Diaz?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, did you review the documents entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision and First Amendment Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you the same Esther Diaz who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2023 CR 8835 for the offense of harassment of a public servant on February 15th, 2024 for a period of 3 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, stayed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which allegation are you proceeding on?
Violation condition on or about the 28th day of February 2024 in Bear County, Texas. The defendant, Mr. Marie Oriana Diaz, committed the office of tampering with electronic monitoring device.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True.
All right. Are you proceeding on any other allegations?
We haven't been the remaining allegation.
All right. Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 1, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, and sentence you up to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find violation of condition number 1 true. Is there a proposed agreement?
Agreement in the sense that we both believe that Ms. Oriana Diaz should have some sort of treatment. We disagree about what that treatment is.
Yes, Your Honor. In other words, the agreement would be to continue her on her deferred alternate amendment conditions for some form of substance abuse treatment. But as Mr. Edelman has indicated, we don't agree on what type of treatment that should be and exactly where. We would leave that to the court, and I would like to address the court with respect to that, Your Honor.
All right, so let's address the tampering with the electronic monitoring device, and then we can address if the court is going to continue Ms. Diaz or not.
Yes, Your Honor.
At the time that occurred, at the time that Ms. Diaz had the device on, she was in a, shall we say, very negative relationship with a gentleman who was the father of her now 2-month-old baby. CPS subsequently had gotten involved dealing with that situation, as well as her other 5 children. One of her children had been involved in drugs, and it has to do with, I'll give you his name, it's Domingo Herrera, who was a negative influence on the other children, as well as Ms. Diaz. She has since gotten away from him. She cut the monitor off because she was dealing with the rather exigent circumstances with her oldest child, who was 16 years old. That child is now in the juvenile system because of some of her drug issues and other issues that were going on. That situation is being resolved. There is a CPS case which is open with Ms. Diaz, which she was following and being involved in with their services prior to coming to court, being in custody now for this the violation that she's pled true to. Some of the services they were recommending had to deal with relationship counseling, dealing with anger management counseling, as well as substance abuse counseling. With respect to that, she does have 6 children. The 16-year-old, actually, she's not the oldest. The 17-year-old is with her mother, which is the child's grandmother. The 16-year-old is in the juvenile system, being taken care of that way. 3 of the children are with her ex-husband, and then the young 2-month-old child is in foster care right now. Her hope is to try to reunite with the 2-month-old and the other children. It's my understanding, as reported by Ms. Diaz, that CPS, that case is rolling forward, and there's some sort of a proceeding in October of this year that she's trying to meet all the requirements for their purposes. While she has been in custody, which is 110 days, Your Honor, she has completed an anger management class. She has 2 more classes to go to complete her healthy relationships class. And she's been in substance abuse counseling as well, 2 more classes, and she'll get a certificate of completion for that class too. She informs me that Mr. Herrera, she doesn't know where he is, no contact with him, doesn't want anything to do with him. It's her information through CPS that he initially began, but he has not cooperated with CPS. He hasn't done anything. And so their process, quite possibly, I haven't seen the pleadings, but knowing how they work, they may be trying to terminate his parental rights as a part of the CPS program. We're not quite sure. However, from her perspective, she doesn't want anything to do with the man at all because of the problems that he has caused her and her children.
All right. State, you're requesting what type of treatment?
Safety, Your Honor.
All right. So I have a few questions. You want to raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Esther Marie Oriana Diaz.
All right, and defense, if ever you want to jump in, feel free to jump in. All right, so what are the ages of your children?
17, 16, 14, 12, 5, and 2 months.
All right, so the 2-month-old is in foster care?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
And the 5-year-old is with your ex?
Yes.
And that is not Mr. Herrera?
No.
And the 12-year-old is,
My ex-husband.
14?
As well.
and the 16-year-old,
She's in juvie.
and the 17-year-old with the grandmother?
Yes.
All right, so the 16-year-old, why is the 16-year-old in juvenile custody?
She kept running. My mom was having problems with her.
Okay, so she was with your grandmother?
Yes.
All right. Oh, I don't want to go into great detail. I'm just trying to figure things out.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
So now here's my question in defense. If you want to jump in, feel free to jump in. I don't understand how cutting off the monitor has anything to do with anything. I mean, it's not as though Mr. Herrera was monitoring her. It's not like if she's on GPS, he's monitoring her so he knows where she is. It's probation that was monitoring her.
It had
Yes.
to do with,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
it had to do with the fact that she was previously ordered to complete Alpha Home, and she couldn't do that with the monitor on. And that delves into, and it is intertwined with Mr. Herrera and the relationship that she had with him. And so she did not complete Alpha Home. She in essence left Alpha Home after 1 week.
Okay, so she was in Alpha Home on GPS
Yes, Your Honor.
and she cut the GPS monitor off.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Sorry to cut. It wasn't necessarily that way. He misunderstood. What I meant was my daughter was giving my mom problems. It wasn't necessary because my ex-boyfriend. It was because my daughter, nobody can handle them. And they only listen when I'm there. And so I had to cut my monitor to go get my daughter.
No, you didn't have to cut your monitor
Why-
off. You could have called probation and said,
I called them, my mom called them, they didn't want to do nothing. They didn't, my son's probation officer is the same probation officer for my daughter. They didn't even go look for her. Little did they know my son was even doing the other things. I had to be the one keep calling and calling, and they weren't doing their job. Secondly, my daughter was going to the Westway apartments where there's a bridge, where there's a lot of homeless people.
all right, so here's the thing. I understand what you're saying about probation not doing their job, but honestly, you were not doing your job as a parent because that's why probation is in their life. And the government, honestly, even when people are juveniles, it's really not the probation's officer job to raise your children. That's your job. And the fact that your child ran away still doesn't excuse your thinking, which is, I'm going to cut off my monitor because my child ran away and my child will only listen to me. If your child will only listen to you, why are your children living with the grandmother instead of you?
Exactly. I was just trying to take my daughter back to my mom's and let her, turn herself in, do it the right way, so I can turn myself in, so I can be at peace and know that she's okay. While I'm doing my, doing what I have to do as a parent.
Well, let me just tell everybody, one, I don't even think she should be continued on probation. I think she should be revoked. But what I can tell you is I am not going to do the treatment that you want. It's going to be safety.
Okay, it's fine.
So, well, no, you need to listen.
Yes,
So even if I consider continuing you, it's going to be safety. So everything else is off the table. Any questions?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Not from the defense, Your Honor.
All right, probation, what are you requesting?
Judge. Felony drug court, she was initially accepted into felony drug court and then the monitor issue happened. So then they rejected the case, it came back over. We did refer her to felony drug court. And at that point, the ABA down there opposed the reentry. I didn't get any further information on why they opposed. It was just ABA opposed. We did also do a TAP evaluation while she's been in custody, and the TAP recommended for safety. I would ask that she be given credit for the anger management course that she's taken while she's been in custody, and defer to the court in regards to treatment.
Okay. So probation wants to continue her?
Yes.
Okay. All right, this is what the court is going to do. I'll deny the motion. Alternate amend conditions to extend for 2 years. We can do a referral back to felony drug court. And if not accepted, then safety.
Judge, I would like to point out that referral was just back to it as a whole.
All right.
If I said the ADA opposed it, and that's why she wasn't granted, or she wasn't accepted to drug court. Otherwise, she met the requirements for it.
Who's the ADA?
It doesn't even give you that information. Judge, it does say that she met the criteria. That's all I have.
And I have counseled Ms. Diaz on how stringent and how difficult drug court is to complete. And she has informed me that she is ready, willing, and able to do whatever she needs to do.
All right, just one moment. All right, so here's my other question. Has anyone looked into if she has a CPS case, CPS has a treatment court there as well. Has anyone checked to see if they will accept her?
I have not, Your Honor.
All right. Yes,
I have a outpatient visit with the CPS worker on the 3rd. And she was telling me that if they didn't have classes for me here, that they would provide the classes for me there.
all right. So what's going to end, I can tell everybody what's going to end up happening, right? And y'all tell me if you all want to continue down this road of sending her to safety. In CPS cases, you only have a year, counsel, as you know, to get your act together for them to consider placing your children with you. Sometimes they will extend it, maybe extend it for 3 months. Most I've seen is 6 months, and that's it. So if you're not accepted into felony drug court, it's going to be very difficult for you when you're sent to safety. So I'm going to ask that she be re-referred to felony drug court, and maybe your attorney can speak to them at felony drug court and talk to the ADA and see if they're willing to reconsider. But if you're not accepted in felony drug court, you're going to go to safety.
Yes, John.
So there's a referral to felony drug court in custody. If not accepted, then safety. Is there anything else from either side?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, and just one moment. Yeah, okay. All right, good luck to you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and I'm sorry, one more thing on the record probation. She'll receive credit for the anger management course.
I received my other 2 certificates in 2 weeks.
All right, sure.
It
Just,
should be in the system, they said.
all right, just let probation know.
Yes,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Carlos Alaman?
Have your coach on?
Yes. Oh, and I'm sorry, Miss Abrams? She used to go back on GPS after release.
Yes, Judge, partial.
She's allowed partial for treatment and employment.
Can I see, SKDS solid?
Yes. All right, what is happening on this case? Today is plea deadline date.
Judge, I went down to confer with the first chair in the family violence court. She's made me a new offer. I've made a counter, Judge.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask the court, I don't know if the court will extend the plea offer deadline one time.
All right, Ms. Ferguson.
Yes, ma'am.
On this, recall it back for July 15th. All right, and thank you for dressing appropriately for court.
Thank you.
All right, so July 15th will be your new plea deadline date.
Judge, can I
Yes.
just, I have to be in Corpus on the 15th. Would the 22nd, just that next week? Would that be-
16th,
I'm still there, Judge, on that day.
18th.
18th is fine, Your Honor.
All right, Norma, recall it for July 18th. That will be your plea deadline date. The court will not extend plea deadline date any further.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Go back to